Robot vacuum technology has improved over the past 5 years. Most brands offer decent vacuum and mop hybrids that do both chores well. But the majority still utilize a stationary pad that doesn't have an active agitation system. Some higher-end options have this in the form of rotating discs, doing back and forth passes, or adding a smaller vibrating element. But these options are far more expensive, and this is where the Yeedi Vac2 Pro comes in. Welcome back to the Cordless Vacuum Guide. In this video, we'll look at Yeedi's latest robot vacuum, the Vac2 Pro, one of the least expensive options with a vibrating pad and obstacle avoidance. I've spent the past week testing this product to push the limits of these features to see if there are any deficiencies and if it's worth considering. There's a lot to unpack, so let's get into it. The Vac2 Pro is one of Yeedi's latest releases, including the Mop Station. This variant retains similar features to the Vac Station, but with two new elements: the front 3D laser sensors and the oscillating mopping pad. The front 3D sensors help it evade obstacles within its line of sight, while the oscillating pad adds an agitation element not available in previous Yeedi products. There are three Vac2 options available. The first option is the Vac2 without a Pro, with only the front 3D sensors, but only with a standard water tank. The second option is the Vac2 Pro, which has the front 3D sensors and the upgraded water tank with the oscillating pad. Lastly is the Vac2 Pro with a self-emptying base station. The oscillating element moves the pad back and forth rapidly, mimicking how you'd scrub floors by hand. Yeedi says it's up to 5 times faster based on their tests. One plus with its design is the whole pad vibrates, unlike the Roborock S7 Plus, where only a part of it vibrates. As you'll see in this clip, the whole pad oscillating improves coverage and efficiency. It only took one pass to remove even hard-to-mop juice stains, but there are limitations to this design, which we'll talk about later in this video. The next upgrade is the front 3D sensors that help it avoid obstacles. I've tested it on various objects with mixed results. I noticed that it would evade objects like pet feces or even wires as long as it's within the laser's line of sight. But once the obstacle falls out of it, there's a huge risk of the robot touching the obstacle. So don't expect this robot to completely avoid objects, especially high-risk ones like pet feces, that could potentially damage it. The obstacle avoidance system and algorithm did well with obstacles like shoes, slippers, and even coiled wires. But it will be too risky to rely on the 3D sensors to avoid stretch wires or pet feces, since there's a huge risk of collision. Again, there are two reasons: blind spots in the 3D laser system, plus the algorithm that allows the robot to get too close. The only robot I've tested to evade stretch wires and pet feces is the Roomba J7, but this is a premium option. And none of the robots I've tested in this price bracket have the obstacle avoidance feature and vibrating mopping system available in the Vac2 Pro, which is its biggest selling point. This functionality is further enhanced by the self-emptying feature, as this model is compatible with the Vac Station's self-emptying base station. The Vac2 Pro dustbin has these two slots connecting to the base station ports for the self-emptying function. Again, consumers can get the base station separately or the robot vacuum plus base station package. The Vac2 Pro retains the same V-SLAM navigation as the Vac Station, so it relies on a top-mounted camera as its primary sensor. Using V-SLAM helps it be efficient as it moves in straight lines. Initially, the robot will navigate in the direction of the dock, but after the mapping run, it goes in the more efficient path. One advantage of using a camera is it lowers the overall height of the robot, reducing its vertical footprint to just a little over 3 inches. This reduced height enables it to go underneath furniture, further enhancing its coverage. Yeedi says it opted to use a camera sensor versus LiDAR for this reason. However, the negative of using a camera over a laser sensor is its reliance on light. Camera-based robots need light to function and may not move as well in dark areas. Another disadvantage is the lack of a mapping run, a feature slowly gaining popularity. A mapping run takes advantage of LiDAR's 360-degree scanning, so it doesn't have to go through every nook and cranny to create a map. This feature significantly reduces the time it takes for map creation in the app versus a full cleaning run. And V-SLAM robots don't have this luxury because it relies primarily on a mapping sensor for creating maps to determine the room's walls or borders, so it needs to explore the whole area. So it's a choice between low clearance coverage or fast map creation. In addition to the mapping sensor, this robot has a carpet sensor that increases power when it goes over carpet or avoids it with the mopping pad attached. So there's no need to move rugs while this robot is mopping. Yeedi says that the Vac2 Pro has up to 3000 pascals, which is in the mid-range for robot vacuums in terms of power. I did airflow tests, which peaked at a little over 20 CFM in the highest setting, slightly lower than the Vac Station. This high airflow translated well in the cleaning tests, where it picked up a high percentage in most experiments. However, one issue is the fast-spinning side brush scattering debris around, especially on hard floors. It got an average of 75.83% in deep cleaning tests on mid-pile carpet, which is a respectable score for any non-Roomba option. Coverage is another strong point as it picked up most of the debris after the first pass. It took less than 17 minutes to finish the coverage test with above average results, which is one of the fastest times versus the other robots I've tested. I tested this robot inside my parents' home and it picked up this much dirt after a mapping run with a power at the lowest setting. This bodes well for the robot's everyday usability. It's not meant to be a primary vacuum cleaner, but a daily autonomous helper that will prevent dust from piling up. Purchasing it with the auto-empty station will further add to its autonomy. However, there are limitations. The Vac2 Pro didn't do well with long hair strands, only picking up 37% from 7-inch tests, but it did well with shorter 5-inch strands, picking up 97.3%. Another limitation is edge cleaning. The round frame and single side brush limit how much it picks up in this area. It got most of the debris, but left this much afterward. The Vac2 Pro's oscillating module makes it efficient at cleaning stains. It removed these red wine and grape juice stains after a single pass. The pad's rapid forward and backward movement helps it disintegrate stains better than other options in the same price bracket that didn't have any agitation. But as with any other robot mop, there are limitations. It can't pick up liquid or spray water, so mopping stains like this will leave a sticky residue. I wouldn't recommend using this on liquid messes as it could potentially damage the robot. Also, I noticed the robot stalling as it returned to the dock after the mopping tests. It could be the dirty pad causing friction, but it's something to look out for potential owners. You definitely have to wash the pad after every run for the best results. Next, we'll look at noise levels, and the Vac2 Pro isn't loud at least in the 3 lower settings, ranging between 61 and 63 decibels. It only gets loud in the Max Plus setting, reaching 70 decibels. Lastly, we'll look at the Yeedi app, how to connect, and an overview of its most useful features. Connecting the app and robot will require several steps. The first step after downloading the app is scanning the QR code near the dustbin. After scanning the QR code, the app will instruct you to turn on the power switch and press this small red button beside it to reset the Wi-Fi. All the steps will be shown on the app, so it's a straightforward process. The tricky step for me is placing the phone on the robot's camera to scan the QR code. A critical step for this to work is pressing this small red button for 1 second until you hear this voice prompt. Once you hear the voice prompt, place the QR code above the robot's camera to complete the connection. Afterward, follow the app instructions, which may include updating the firmware. Once the setup is complete, you'll be prompted to create a map at the lowest power setting to maximize runtime. Unfortunately, the Yeedi app doesn't have a mapping run because it relies on a camera and not a laser, so it's a longer process. The app is smart enough to recognize doorways and automatically divide rooms, at least in my home. Once the map is saved, you can customize it by naming each area and create virtual boundaries to block the robot from going into restricted areas. Custom area cleaning allows consumers to select an area to clean or mop. I use this in a mopping test to focus on a smaller area and save time. Another limitation of the Yeedi app is it can only save one map level. Hopefully they'll address this and consider adding a multi-level saving feature. Other features include the 4-level power settings and 3-level water flow settings. The cleaning sequence lets consumers choose which room is cleaned first. Lastly is the scheduling feature to automate the vacuuming chore in your home, which can be more autonomous with the self-emptying base station. The Yeedi Vac2 Pro is one of the best value-for-money robot vacuum and mop hybrids I've tested. I haven't seen a robot vacuum with obstacle avoidance and a vibrating pad in this price range. Even with the auto-empty base station, it still offers great value with its cleaning and mopping performance. Sure, there are limitations, but none of the robot vacuums I've tested are perfect. So it's something to consider if you don't want to spend a premium on a robot vacuum with obstacle avoidance and an oscillating pad. If you've made it this far, I'd like to say thank you And consider giving this video a thumbs up if it's been helpful to you. This goes a long way in growing this channel and reaching more consumers. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when I publish new reviews like this. Links are in the description for the full review on my blog and more information about the Yeedi Vac2 Pro. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.